Mike Irvin adds himself to the list of football personalities that know Robby Anderson that are coming out and saying that Robby Anderson wanted to stay in New York. The Sun God has responded to this on Twitter, I believe anyway. It's a little cryptic tweet. Sun God Robby Anderson has tweeted out the cap symbol. And if you don't understand what that means, you're capping. That's what he's saying. Mike Irvin is capping. But I think this is all taken out of context. Let's dive into this. I want to talk a lot about what Robby Anderson means to the Jets, what he used to mean to the Jets. And I want to get into how his replacement in Breshad Perriman's really not living up to the type of performance that Robby Anderson is putting up currently on the Panthers squad. But first, let's get into the actual meat and potatoes here. Let's get into the interview with Mike Evans that was on the Joe and Evan show on The Fan. And if you don't know that show, I'd suggest you check it out with Joe and Evan. It's a great show. It's you got to check out Joe's signature Jets rants whenever he gets into it. It's a wonderful show. I suggest you check it out. Anyway, I want to get into it because I think it's really being taken out of context at a lot of different places here. You see a lot of headlines saying that Robby Anderson was crying. Robby Anderson was crying when he was told that he was leaving the Jets, that he couldn't get the job done here. This is just kind of taken out of context here, and this might be Mike Irvin's fault, really, because he was using his verbiage, his words that he was using in that interview was really what is leading to misrepresentation in the media when they're talking and they're really taking his words out of context here. So he was saying things like Robby Anderson was damn near crying when he called him. This is what it's all about, is this call between Robby Anderson and Mike Irvin after Robby Anderson could not get the deal done with the Jets. Mike Irvin went on to say that he was damn near crying. Now, I don't think he was actually crying. I think, as Mike Irvin goes on to explain, he felt incredibly disrespected. And if you're in Robby Anderson's shoes, I think you have to feel disrespected, especially when you see the amount of money that he was signed for, 2 years, $20 million. Come on, Joe Douglas. This was, me personally, when I look at Robby Anderson's production on the field in the years previous, I saw progression. I did not see. Now, I can say this. I did not see a number one wide receiver. And this is what Robby was really pushing to be. I didn't see that. His routes just weren't crisp enough. He was getting better. Robby Anderson was no doubt getting better. What I think was some of his strengths, obviously, he could blow the top off of almost any defense. Stephon Gilmore was really giving him. He didn't really get anything done on a really top tier cornerback like Stephon Gilmore, and I really believe it's because his route running abilities and just a lot of the skill set that Robby Anderson does have is so limited that if you are one of these top flight corners, you can really game plan to what he's doing there. And he was stopped every now and then, but we got to be honest here. Robby Anderson was consistently producing on the field. He wasn't putting out outlandish numbers. Robby Anderson was no number one. Joe Douglas knew Robby Anderson was no number one. I'd like to believe that Robby Anderson knows he wasn't a number one, and that's why he took the money that he took. But it's just sad to see him go because he was really developing in the system. He was with Sam Darnold for 2 years. I don't understand why we let him go. And I'm going to put that out there. I don't understand why we let Robby Anderson go, especially when you see the money that we let him go for. And we see that we signed Breshad Perriman to $8 million 1 year. And we got this man walking around $10 million a year, and he's I don't know, as of right now, he's way better. He was definitely a more proven commodity in our building. I don't understand why we chose to go with another person instead of keeping our homegrown talent. All right, Robby Anderson was an undrafted free agent. It was a rare, wonderful pick from Mike Maccagnan. Not a pick, obviously, undrafted free agent, but a diamond in the rough for Mike Maccagnan to find. And Mike Maccagnan does not have a good track record with wide receivers, so pulling this guy out was really something to be seen. And it was, as a Jet fan watching him out there playing, it was great. It was great because every now and then you knew he was gonna break away. He was gonna get that touchdown. And Sam Darnold, you were so happy to finally see that we have somebody with the arm talent to really get him the points that he can start putting out there. And it was really sad for a lot of people, especially Reddit's Jets Reddit is really mad. I mean, not anymore. I mean, maybe right now. Maybe right now, after this news coming out. And first off, this news coming out, this is not the first guy to say this. This is not the first guy to come out. Robby Anderson himself said over and over again before he left the Jets that this is where he wants to be. He doesn't want to go anywhere else. He hopes he can get it done here. This is not new news. This is just us revisiting this as we go into the season, seeing the lack of production of the wide receivers in this room. There's nobody there that fills Robby Anderson's shoes, and that's a fact. That's a straight fact, and there's no denying it. That's no cap. Robby Anderson can't reply to that with no cap because he knows that was his value on this team. On this team, he actually brought production in a lackluster wide receiver room, excluding somebody like Jamison Crowder. Even Braxton Berrios shines a little bit, but he's not. These players aren't really something to write home about. Braxton, let me not understate that they can produce from time to time. Braxton Berrios has broke out in a few after catch runs. Last year, I remember he got a nice, decent touchdown. He was kind of in the middle of the field, really ran nicely. And of course, Jamison Crowder. Jamison Crowder has no doubt produced for us, being our top wide receiver last year, I believe. But it's still a lackluster wide receiver room, especially with Denzel Mims being out. Denzel Mims is still out for this upcoming Week 5 game, which, by the way, Sam Darnold isn't even playing in. So it's just a little bit of hopeless stuff. This is why I did not upload a Monday episode, because it's just like there's no motivation to post about this hopeless team right now. And that's with truth right now. That's the truth of a roster without Robby Anderson, without the true wide receiver talent that we need, without, I keep bringing it up, but a QB coach. We need a QB coach to really take Sam to the next level. All we have is this man Adam Gase. He's the only one that's in his mind, and we've seen the product on the field. We've seen that it's not really panning out. But let's get back to the Robby Anderson situation, because I wanted to share some numbers that a lot of people in the Jets community are sharing right now that need to be addressed, and that's the numbers of Rashad Perriman's production versus Robby Anderson's production in the 2020 season with these 4 games that we've had. Sam Darnold on one end with Rashad Perriman, and Teddy Bridgewater on the other end with Robby Anderson. Completely different offensive schemes, completely different coaches. A coach that we could have had in I'm blanking on the name right now, but we all know the coach over there if you're a Jets fan, because he was on the list. And then we got Adam Gase over here. He loves running his little vanilla offense. No movement in the backfield, none of this stuff. It's all vanilla, and you see the production here, but Robby Anderson was still able to produce last year in this offense more than at least Rashad Perriman right now. And one thing I love to bring up with Robby Anderson, that man had sure hands last year. I've heard somebody say, I don't remember who I heard it from, but I heard somebody say that he ain't had no hands or something. Come on, man. Last year, if you saw that ball enter that man's hand, you had so much confidence that he's coming down with it. There's so much contested catches that Robby Anderson has come down with, and I just gotta say, it's frustrating to see him go. But that's the way of this roster right now. This is the way that Joe Douglas is moving. But anyway, let's bring up the numbers. Robby Anderson in the 2020 season. Actually, let's bring up Rashad Perriman just to give you a little baseline to see where Sam Darnold is, where his weapons are. Let's just look at this right now. Okay, so Rashad Perriman on a 1 year, $8 million deal, I believe. Homeboy's got 5 receptions for 29 yards in these 4 games that we've had so far, with only 5.8 yards per reception and 0 touchdowns. 0 touchdowns. Now, you obviously look at that and you go, wow, that's really low in the last 4 games. And then you compare it to Robby Anderson's numbers, and you really start to question what's going on with this offense. You really start to question the talent that Rashad Perriman's bringing, and maybe Rashad Perriman just hasn't settled in yet. Maybe his chemistry with Sam Darnold needs to start building more. Sam Darnold had an extra year, but you still got to look at the numbers, and you got to see this, man. Robby Anderson in the 2020 season with 4 games under his belt, 28 receptions versus Rashad Perriman's 5 receptions, mind you. 377 yards. 377 yards versus Brashad Perriman's 29. That's just out of the, it's not even in the same ballpark, man. And you got 13 yards per reception and 1 touchdown. That's incredible numbers versus Brashad Perriman. And that's undeniable numbers. That's real production on the field that the Jets are starving for right now. And this brings me back to, I've said over and over again on this channel, Joe Douglas has been making questionable moves. And it's not all questionable moves. You got to like what you got in return for Jamal Adams. Maybe. I say maybe because, for all we know, the Seattle Seahawks is looking like a world beater, that team. It's looking amazing. And with Jamal Adams, it's really like the cherry on top of that defense. I think he really puts the glue together. And, he's just lighting it up over there. He's out for the foreseeable future. It's not going to be a while with his groin injury, but he's out right now. But when he's on the field, you see the production. You see why they give up 2 first rounds and a second round for that guy. And you see why it makes me sick that we let him go. You see why it makes me sick that the Jets keep letting go of amazing talent. Anyway, it's just you see the production on the field. You see that there's something wrong here, and you see the questionable moves. Why didn't Joe Douglas keep him? Why did Joe Douglas decide to go with Brashad Perriman instead of sticking with the in-home talent that we had in Robby Anderson, this diamond in the rough that we found that could blow the top off of any defense, that beat Alvin Kamara in a race in the offseason last year? Robby Anderson is a great talent, and I'm happy to see the Sun God light it up in the Panthers organization because we're clearly not going to serve him up. And Robby Anderson saying it's capped, that he's crying. That's what I assume he's referring to. But the truth is that Robby Anderson wanted to stay here, and for some reason Joe Douglas would have rather seen him walk. Stop clenching your pennies, Joe Douglas. We got to keep some of these players, man. We got to. And I so much wanted to see that Jamal Adams deal go down. I don't care. I don't care about none of this. Oh, he's got so much more time. That is a future Hall of Famer, and I bet on it, man. That's a future Hall of Famer right there on the Seattle Seahawks that we gifted to them. It was for a high price, but that doesn't change the fact that Jets let go of another player, and the Jets let go of another player in Robby Anderson. Support the page if you like it. I'm just another frustrated Jets fan. If you like what I'm saying, listen, if you're from Jets Reddit, I love what you guys are saying. I love showing up on Jets Reddit. It's a beautiful time, and I love the Sun God memes. I'm sad to see him go, just like you. And this is just me coming on here talking about the fact that Joe Douglas I'm building up the case that Joe Douglas keeps making these weird roster moves. I just want to see better play on the field, and I want to see a Jets team with hope, just like you. And I'm sick and tired of it. Thank you for listening. Like, comment, subscribe. If you didn't like it, dislike it, whatever. But comment, subscribe. If you want to stick around, subscribe, please. I want to see if comment. I mean it. Comment. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you guys. And thank you for listening. If you listen through and through, and if you're from, like I said, from Jets Reddit, what's up? Say what's up in the comments. I'd like to talk to you. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. I'm out.